In the vast emptiness of space, something unusual happened. It began as a faint sound, almost like static, picked up by one of Earth's deep space listening arrays. At first, no one thought much of it. Strange signals were common in space, often caused by natural events like solar flares or cosmic radiation. But this was different. As scientists studied the signal, they realized it wasn't random noise. It was a scream, a human scream. The discovery shocked everyone. The cry seemed to come from Proxima Centauri, a planet orbiting the closest star to Earth. The decision to send a mission to Proxima Centauri was made quickly, but preparing for it took time. Admiral Laura Hayes knew the stakes were high. This wasn't just an exploration mission, it was a rescue operation. Humanity had never ventured so far into space before, and the risks were enormous. The crew would need the best equipment, the fastest ship, and the most skilled people to ensure success. Captain Daniel Harper was chosen to lead the mission. His calm demeanor and years of experience made him the perfect candidate. He had faced danger countless times and always came out on top. Lieutenant Sophia Bennett, a brilliant engineer, was assigned to the team because of her knowledge of the ship's advanced systems. Without her expertise, the mission could fail before it even began. Dr. Emily Carter, who had first uncovered the mysterious signal, also joined the crew. Her understanding of the transmission would be crucial in finding answers. The ship selected for the mission was the Aurora Vanguard *, Earth's most advanced starship. It was equipped with experimental technology, including faster-than-light engines and weapons designed to handle unknown threats. The ship's sleek design and powerful capabilities gave the crew hope, but no one underestimated the dangers they might face. As preparations continued, tensions ran high. Some scientists argued that sending humans so far into uncharted territory was reckless. Others worried about what they might find on Proxima Centauri. Was the cry for help genuine, or was it a trap? Despite these concerns, Admiral Hayes remained firm. "We can't ignore this," she told the team during a briefing. "If there are people out there in danger, we have a duty to help them." Before leaving, Daniel met privately with his younger sister, Mia Harper. She had been against the mission from the start, fearing for his safety. "You don't have to go," she said, her voice filled with worry. "What if something happens to you?" Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder and smiled. "I'll be careful," he promised. "But someone has to do this. If we don't act, who will?" The night before departure, the crew gathered for a final meeting. Sophia reviewed the ship's systems one last time, ensuring everything was in working order. Dr. Carter studied the signal again, hoping to find more clues about its origin. Meanwhile, Daniel went over the mission plan with his team, making sure everyone understood their roles. The journey to Proxima Centauri would take weeks, even with the ship's advanced engines, so they needed to be ready for anything. As the launch date approached, excitement mixed with fear. The crew knew they were making history, but they also knew the risks. What awaited them on the distant planet was a mystery. Would they find survivors, or would they encounter something far more dangerous? On the day of the launch, crowds gathered to watch the Aurora Vanguard lift off. The ship roared to life, its engines glowing brightly as it ascended into the sky. For a moment, the world held its breath, watching as humanity took its first step toward the stars. Inside the ship, the crew felt a mix of pride and nervousness. They were leaving Earth behind, venturing into the unknown with only each other to rely on. As the ship entered space, the vast emptiness stretched out before them. The journey ahead would be long, and the destination uncertain. But one thing was clear: whatever they found on Proxima Centauri, it would change humanity forever. The journey to Proxima Centauri felt endless. The Aurora Vanguard moved quickly through space, its advanced engines cutting down the time it would normally take to travel such a vast distance. But even with the speed of the ship, weeks passed before they reached their destination. For the crew, the days were filled with preparation, study, and uneasy anticipation. At first, everything seemed normal. The ship's systems worked perfectly, and the crew settled into a routine. Dr. Emily Carter spent most of her time analyzing the mysterious signal again and again, hoping to uncover new details. Lieutenant Sophia Bennett checked the ship's equipment daily, making sure nothing would fail when they arrived. Captain Daniel Harper kept the team focused, reminding them of their mission and the importance of staying alert. But as they traveled deeper into space, strange things began to happen. Small malfunctions started to appear in the ship's systems. Lights flickered without warning, and some of the sensors gave incorrect readings. At first, the crew dismissed these issues as minor glitches, but they grew more frequent. Then came the whispers. Faint, indistinct voices echoed over the communication channels late at night. No one could explain where they were coming from or what they meant. Sophia was the first to mention it during a team meeting. "I've been hearing things," she admitted hesitantly. "Voices. They're faint, but they're there." Her words made the others uneasy. Dr. Carter nodded slowly. "I've heard them too," she said. "It's like someone is trying to talk to us." Daniel listened carefully, his expression serious. He didn't want the crew to panic, but he couldn't ignore the growing sense of unease. The whispers weren't the only strange occurrence. Many of the crew members began having vivid nightmares. In their dreams, they saw shadowy figures moving in the darkness, heard distant screams, and felt an overwhelming sense of dread. When they woke, the feelings lingered, making it hard to focus on their tasks. Even Daniel, who prided himself on staying calm under pressure, found it difficult to shake off the uneasiness. As they approached Proxima Centauri, the tension aboard the ship grew thicker. The planet loomed ahead, a small dot against the endless blackness of space. Through the ship's telescopes, they could see its surface, a mix of barren landscapes and jagged mountains. It looked desolate, almost lifeless, but something about it felt wrong. The energy readings from the planet were unusual, far stronger than anything they had expected. When they entered orbit, the crew prepared to send down drones for an initial scan. Sophia programmed the drones to search for signs of life or any structures that might explain the origin of the signal. As the drones descended, the crew watched the footage closely. At first, all they saw was empty terrain. But then, something moved. Shadowy figures darted across the screen, too fast to identify clearly. "What are those?" Sophia asked, her voice trembling. Daniel leaned closer to the monitor, his eyes narrowing. "I don't know," he admitted, "but we need to find out." The drones tried to follow the figures, but their signals suddenly cut off. One by one, the screens went dark. The crew exchanged worried glances. Whatever was down there, it didn't want to be found. Despite the fear creeping into their minds, they knew they couldn't turn back now. They had come too far to give up. Daniel took a deep breath and turned to his team. "We'll land tomorrow," he said firmly. "Stay sharp. We don't know what we're dealing with, but we'll face it together." That night, no one slept well. The whispers were louder than ever, and the nightmares felt more real. As the ship drifted closer to the planet, the crew couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Something, or someone, was waiting for them on Proxima Centauri, and it wasn't going to make their job easy. The next morning, the crew of the Aurora Vanguard prepared to land on Proxima Centauri. The planet's surface looked bleak and unwelcoming, covered in gray dust and jagged rocks. Captain Daniel Harper led the team as they stepped onto the alien world for the first time. The air was thin and cold, forcing everyone to wear protective suits. The silence was eerie, broken only by the sound of their boots crunching against the ground. Dr. Emily Carter carried a handheld scanner, searching for any signs of life or activity. Lieutenant Sophia Bennett stayed close, keeping an eye on the equipment they had brought with them. The rest of the team spread out, scanning the area carefully. Despite the desolate appearance, something about the place felt wrong. It was as if the planet itself was alive, watching their every move. After hours of searching, they found the first clue: ruins. Towering structures made of strange, metallic material rose from the ground. twisted and broken. They looked ancient, as though they had been abandoned for centuries. The designs on the walls were unfamiliar, covered in symbols no one could understand. Dr. Carter ran her fingers over the markings, her mind racing with questions. Who built this? She wondered aloud. And why did they leave? As they explored further, the team noticed something unsettling. Scattered around the ruins were fragments of what appeared to be human remains. Bones, bits of clothing, and even pieces of old technology hinted at a tragic past. Daniel knelt beside one of the fragments, his jaw tightening. "These look like they belong to humans," he said quietly. "But how is that possible?" Before anyone could answer, movement caught their attention. Shadowy figures darted between the ruins, too fast to see clearly. The team froze, their hearts pounding. "Did you see that?" Sophia whispered, clutching her scanner tightly. Daniel nodded, signaling for everyone to stay calm. He raised his weapon cautiously, unsure of what they were dealing with. The figures moved again, closer this time. Finally, one of them stepped into view. It looked almost human, but not quite. Its limbs were elongated, its skin pale and cracked. Glowing eyes stared at them blankly, and sharp teeth filled its gaping mouth. The creature let out a low growl, sending chills down everyone's spines. Then, without warning, it lunged. "Get back!" Daniel shouted, firing his weapon. The shot hit the creature, but it barely slowed down. More figures emerged from the shadows, surrounding the team. Panic set in as the crew realized these beings weren't natural. They were mutations, twisted versions of humans. Sophia grabbed Dr. Carter's arm and pulled her toward the ship. "We need to retreat," she yelled. Daniel covered their escape, firing repeatedly to keep the creatures at bay. One by one, the team scrambled back to the safety of the Aurora Vanguard *. As soon as everyone was inside, Daniel sealed the hatch, breathing heavily. "That was too close," he muttered. Back on board, the crew tried to process what they had seen. The mutated humans were horrifying. But what scared them more was the realization that those creatures had once been people. Someone, or something, had done this to them. Dr. Carter studied the footage from their scanners, her hands trembling. "This wasn't random," she said finally. "They were experiments." Daniel frowned. "Experiments? By who?" She hesitated before answering. "By whoever sent that signal. Whoever's behind this knew we'd come." The thought sent a chill through the group. If the cry for help was a trap, they had walked right into it. But turning back wasn't an option, not when answers lay hidden beneath the planet's surface. Daniel clenched his fists, determination hardening his expression. "We came here to find the truth," he said firmly. "And that's exactly what we're going to do." Unbeknownst to them, the creatures outside weren't the only danger lurking on Proxima Centauri b. Deep below the ruins, something far worse waited patiently. Whatever it was, it had watched their arrival. And it wasn't done with them yet. The crew of the Aurora Vanguard knew they couldn't stay hidden forever. The mutated humans outside were dangerous, but the ruins held clues that might explain what had happened on Proxima Centauri b. After regrouping and calming their nerves, Captain Daniel Harper decided they needed to investigate further. "We came here for answers," he reminded the team. "Let's find them." Dr. Emily Carter led the way this time, her scanner guiding them deeper into the ruins. As they moved, the structures grew more complex, with strange symbols etched into the walls glowing faintly in the dim light. Sophia Bennett stayed close, her eyes darting nervously at every shadow. "These markings look like warnings," she said softly, pointing to one of the symbols. It resembled a circle with sharp lines radiating outward, almost like an explosion. Daniel nodded grimly. "If it's a warning, we need to figure out what it means, and fast." He kept his weapon ready, knowing the creatures could appear at any moment. Their search eventually led them to a massive doorway, sealed tightly with no visible way to open it. Dr. Carter examined the mechanism carefully, her fingers tracing the intricate designs. "It's some kind of lock," she explained. "But it's not mechanical. It responds to energy patterns. She turned to Sophia. Can you reroute power from your scanner? We might be able to trigger it. Sophia hesitated but handed over her device. With careful adjustments, she managed to create a small energy pulse. When the pulse hit the door, it hummed loudly before sliding open with a hiss. Beyond it lay a long, dark tunnel leading deep underground. The team exchanged uneasy glances. Going deeper felt risky, but they didn't have a choice. Inside the tunnel, the air grew colder and the walls shimmered faintly, as if alive. Strange noises echoed around them, clicks, whispers, and low growls that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. Every step made them feel like they were being watched. At the end of the tunnel, they found a vast chamber filled with alien machinery. In the center was a pulsating core, glowing with an eerie blue light. Thick cables connected it to rows of pods lining the walls. Inside the pods were figures, humanoid shapes suspended in liquid. Some looked human, while others were grotesque hybrids, halfway between man and monster. This is where they did it, Dr. Carter whispered, her voice trembling. They took humans and changed them. She pointed to one of the pods, where a partially transformed figure floated lifelessly. Its face was frozen in a silent scream. Before anyone could respond, the ground shook violently. Alarms blared, and the machines began to whir louder. From the shadows emerged dozens of mutated humans, their glowing eyes fixed on the intruders. Behind them, something larger moved. A towering creature unlike anything they had seen before. Its body was covered in black, writhing tendrils, and its head was crowned with jagged spikes. It let out a deafening roar, shaking the entire chamber. "We need to destroy the core," Daniel shouted over the chaos. "It's powering all of this." Sophia quickly assessed the situation. "If we overload it, we can bring everything down. But someone will have to stay behind to make sure it works." Without hesitation, Sophia stepped forward. "I'll do it," she said firmly. "You're the leader, Daniel. You need to get everyone back safely." Daniel wanted to argue, but there wasn't time. He nodded, gripping her shoulder. "Thank you," he said. Then, turning to the rest of the team, he yelled, "Move. Now." As the others fought their way toward the exit, Sophia worked frantically to set up the overload sequence. The mutated humans closed in, their claws inches away. But just as the first wave reached her, the core erupted in a blinding flash of light. The chamber collapsed, burying the alien machinery and Sophia in rubble. Back at the ship, the survivors watched silently as the ruins crumbled behind them. They had uncovered the truth, but at a terrible cost. Whatever horrors had been unleashed on Proxima Centauri were now buried. But for how long? As the Aurora Vanguard lifted off from Proxima Centauri, the weight of what had happened pressed heavily on the crew. The mission had uncovered the truth about the planet's dark past, but it had come at a devastating cost. Lieutenant Sophia Bennett had sacrificed herself to destroy the alien core, ensuring that the monstrous experiments and their creators would never threaten humanity again. Her bravery weighed on everyone, especially Captain Daniel Harper. The journey back to Earth was quiet and somber. Dr. Emily Carter spent most of her time staring out the window at the endless void of space, replaying the events in her mind. She couldn't shake the image of the pods filled with mutated humans, nor the sight of the towering creature that had emerged from the shadows. "We barely escaped," she murmured during one of her late-night reflections. Daniel, sitting nearby, nodded silently. He felt responsible for Sophia's death, even though he knew she had made the choice willingly. Despite the grief, there was also relief. The alien threat had been neutralized, at least for now. The core's destruction had collapsed the underground facility, burying the experiments and the machinery that powered them. But questions lingered. Who were the aliens? Why had they conducted such horrific experiments on humans? And how had humans ended up on Proxima Centauri in the first place? These mysteries haunted the crew, but they had no answers, only pieces of a puzzle they couldn't yet solve. When the Aurora Vanguard finally returned to Earth, the crew was greeted as heroes. News of their mission had spread quickly, and people around the world were eager to hear their story. Admiral Laura Hayes organized a press conference where Daniel and Dr. Carter shared what they had discovered. They spoke of the ruins, the mutated humans, and the alien machinery, but they left out certain details, like the terrifying creature they had encountered. Some truths, they decided, weren't ready to be told. After the press conference, Daniel visited his younger sister, Mia Harper. She rushed to hug him, tears streaming down her face. "I thought I'd lost you," she whispered. Daniel held her tightly, feeling a mix of guilt and gratitude. He hadn't told her about Sophia's sacrifice, unsure of how to put it into words. Instead, he simply said, "We did what we had to do." Later that evening, Daniel attended a small ceremony held in Sophia's honor. Her bravery was celebrated, and her name was added to the memorial wall for fallen explorers. As Daniel stood before the wall, he promised himself, and Sophia, that her sacrifice wouldn't be forgotten. "You saved us all," he said quietly, "and we'll make sure your work wasn't in vain." Dr. Carter threw herself into studying the data recovered from the mission. She pored over the symbols, recordings, and energy readings, determined to understand the aliens' motives. Her research led to new theories about interstellar travel and the possibility that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. But she couldn't shake the feeling that something, or someone, was still out there, watching and waiting. For Daniel, returning to normal life was difficult. The faces of the mutated humans and the sound of Sophia's final words haunted his dreams. He tried to focus on the positives. They had survived, they had uncovered the truth, and they had protected Earth. But deep down, he knew the universe was vast and full of dangers far beyond human comprehension. One night, as he sat alone in his quarters, Daniel stared at the stars outside his window. The cry for help had brought them to Proxima Centauri, but it had also opened a door to a much larger mystery. Somewhere out there, other threats might be lurking, silent, unseen, and unknown. For now, humanity was safe, but Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that their victory was only temporary. The universe was vast, and its secrets were darker than anyone had imagined. The days turned into weeks after the crew of the Aurora Vanguard returned to Earth. Life slowly began to return to normal, but the memories of Proxima Centauri lingered in their minds. Captain Daniel Harper tried to focus on his duties, but the weight of Sophia's sacrifice never left him. He often found himself staring at the stars, wondering if they had truly ended the threat or merely delayed it. Dr. Emily Carter spent most of her time in the lab, analyzing every piece of data they had brought back. She studied the symbols from the ruins, the energy readings from the alien core, and the recordings of the mutated humans' movements. Her research led to breakthroughs in understanding alien technology, but it also raised more questions. Who were they? She asked herself late one night, staring at a glowing screen filled with cryptic patterns. And why did they do this? Admiral Laura Hayes kept a close eye on the situation, ensuring that humanity was prepared for any future threats. The mission to Proxima Centauri had proven that Earth wasn't alone in the universe, and that not everything out there was friendly. New defenses were put in place, and plans for advanced starships were fast-tracked. Humanity had taken its first step into the stars, but it was clear they needed to be ready for whatever came next. Despite the progress, unease settled over the team. They had destroyed the alien facility, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something remained. The towering creature they had seen in the underground chamber haunted their dreams. Was it truly gone, or had it escaped before the core exploded? These thoughts kept them awake at night, their minds racing with possibilities. One evening, Daniel received an unexpected visit from Mia Harper. She had been following his work closely and noticed how distant he seemed. "You're carrying too much," she said gently, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Sophia wouldn't want you to blame yourself." Daniel sighed, looking away. "I know," he admitted, "but I can't help feeling like we didn't finish what we started." Mia nodded, understanding his pain. "You did everything you could," she said firmly. "Now it's up to all of us to make sure her sacrifice means something." Her words stayed with Daniel long after she left, giving him a small sense of peace. As months passed, Dr. Carter made a startling discovery. Hidden within the data was a faint signal, similar to the cry for help that had brought them to Proxima Centauri, but this one was different. It was weaker, fragmented, and coming from somewhere farther away. She hesitated before sharing it with Admiral Hayes and Daniel. "It might be nothing," she warned. "But if it is another call for help..." Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. Had they missed something on Proxima Centauri B? Or was this a new threat entirely? Admiral Hayes listened carefully, her expression unreadable. "We'll monitor it," she said finally. "But we need to be cautious. We can't risk another mission without knowing more." The crew realized that their journey hadn't ended. It had only begun. The universe was vast, and its secrets were far from uncovered. Whatever lay beyond the stars, humanity would face it together. For now, they focused on rebuilding, learning, and preparing. But deep down, they knew the next challenge was out there, waiting. As Daniel gazed at the night sky once more, he felt a mix of fear and determination. The cry from Proxima Centauri had forced humanity to take its boldest step yet into the unknown. And though the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: Earth would never look at the stars the same way again.